Hey guys, this is Jono from OptizenAI. In this video, I'm just going to look at one of the content systems or content processes we've developed over the last 6 months or so. It's a process that we've tweaked, and the interesting thing is it's survived all the recent Google updates, the core updates, the HCU, and then, as many of you would know, the SEO industry and SEO world has been essentially turned upside down by those updates. And then we've had the recent Google leaks, which has caused more confusion with how we should be following guidelines or not following guidelines. So there's a lot of discrepancy in what Google says we should be doing and what actually works. Now, this system, we use this not only in our e-commerce projects, so Shopify blogs, WooCommerce blogs for our own sites, but also we have a portfolio of informational sites, affiliate sites, network sites, etc. And we've used this process across the entire portfolio, and it's performing pretty well. And this is not only on established sites, sites that have got a bit of age, or domains that have a bit of age, but also newish sites as well. So it's a combination of using AI, SurferSEO, a custom GTP, and then also human editing. So there's a process and a bit of time, but it's still much more efficient and much more productive than having writers write the content or writing the content yourself. So a number of months ago, we released a video on how to consistently get 73 plus Surfer SEO scores with ZimWriter. ZimWriter's another AI writer, very popular. It's very cheap also. And that was quite popular with our users, with people who follow us. And it's very cheap, but that process still takes a little bit of time. There's a few more T's you've got to cross, I's you've got to dot, for example, and the detail you need to add in can be more overwhelming than this current process we have. We can use this process to create content very quickly, this new process with a custom GTP and Surfer, and it actually is cheaper overall, even though you need the OpenAI or ChatGPT Pro plan, so you can use GPT-4 or now GTP 4.0. So if you use ZimWriter within your business, you may want to go check out that video there. And what I've done is actually published this blog post on the new system or the new process using SurferSEO and the custom GTP, and still getting surf scores of 70 plus, and then human editing them. The quality comes out pretty good straight out of the gate, but we always go through and make our human edits. So this is under the blog section of OptizenApp.com. So this blog post is quite extensive. It's quite a big publication that you can work through. So I'm not going to follow every single step in this video today, but I will go through the process very quickly and to the point where we've got a bit of content that is basically ready to human edit. The more detailed process of what to edit, how to edit, the publishing aspect of the post or the article is in this particular blog post here that's on the screen. But we'll just go through the video today to get to that place where you have a piece of content that's reasonable quality and meets the criteria that we want within Surfer SEO. If you haven't used Surfer before, it's a market leader in terms of content optimization. With the way things have changed in the last 2 or 3 months with Google, and initially when a lot of the updates came out and those raft of updates that came out one after the other, there was always a lot of speculation on whether just having sites that were created by AI or mass AI sites, etc., what was the issue, and still there's a lot of conjecture on what actually what issues there are with using AI. But as we're seeing with this process here, we do use an element of AI, or quite heavily using AI, but we're still getting good results with it. And it comes down to, we believe, you create that content, but then also it's how you structure your pieces of content, and then very importantly, that point of publish, which is further down the article here. But as I said, I'm just going to go through to get to the point of a piece of content out of Surfer that is the quality we need, that then we can go and edit or human edit and get ready to publish on a site. So the link to this blog article will be in the description of this video. What I'm going to start with, so the example we used in this particular, actually before I talk about that, we'll just look at some of the results I've got published here in this blog post. So here are 3 examples. We've got many more, but these are examples we've chosen to show because it's a combination of information site, a legacy site which has got a bit of history and domain age and quality, and then some newer sites and also an e-commerce site. So this first one here, you can see this is a site that is quite established. You can see that it does pretty good volume in organic clicks, and this is over the last 6 months, and you can see we've got an increase of 33% on organic clicks, and this is just informational content, pretty well using the process that we're going to go through now. The site 2 is an Australian e-commerce site, 32% increase over 6 months. That site's about 3 years of age, and then a US e-commerce site, 26% increase over a 6-month period as well. Okay, so in the example, we created a piece of content for an example domain. So this is not a real domain, for things to do. Let's get this one here. Things to do in Adelaide with kids. So there's a URL structure. I won't go into the detail of that. That's explained a little more detail in the article as well, or in this blog post. So that was the example, and we got a score of 74 straight out of the gate with Surfer, and the quality was pretty good. So what we'll do now is we'll go through and we'll create a similar article for things to do in Adelaide for adults. So that'll be our target topic, things to do in Adelaide for adults. So I'll come over to Surfer. You can see here things to do in Adelaide with kids. That was the piece of content. I might just open that and we'll have a look. So here's the piece of content, Surfer score of 74, reasonably well optimized. And you can look at the quality of the content within the blog article itself. So now we'll go and we'll create the content editor dashboard for things made for adults. Okay, so very simply, we're going to add in things to do in Adelaide. For those that don't know, Adelaide is a capital city of South Australia, a state in Australia. Things to do in Adelaide for adults. If we just quickly look in Ahrefs, we can see things to do in Adelaide for adults. So fun things to do in Adelaide for adults, 500 search volume, keyword difficulty 3. So it's not a high volume keyword, but there's enough there to go after. And certainly if that's going to be part of our topical map for an example like this, but you can see there's a lot of different variations within this. So let's go after that instead, fun things. Well, actually, we can just add that straight in. Fun things to do in Adelaide for adults. You can see they've got the volume there as well. We'll leave it at that for now. So we'll go ahead and create the content editor dashboard. I'll just let that run. Okay, Surfer has gone through its process, and now the first thing we're going to do is go to the gear icon up the top here, and we're going to choose our competitors. These are the competitors that Surfer has chosen on its own. So fun things to do in Adelaide, top things to do in Adelaide. So it doesn't have anything to do with adults, but obviously it does because it's things to do in Adelaide. 15 things to do in Adelaide right now. 59 unusual things to do in Adelaide. Discover adult fun events and activities in Adelaide. I'm going to knock that one out because it's got such a large keyword volume. We don't really need to do that looking at what's on page 1. This one here, 60 fun things to do in Adelaide. Let's use that one, and then we'll go and see what the word count is. I'm not so concerned about word count as I used to be. You'll certainly see now after the Google updates a much larger range of word counts. So it does come back to that user experience, how helpful the page is, etc. So this has got a keyword volume of just over 2,000. Keywords or words in the article of just over 2,000. So keep in mind, all we're trying to do is get our score over 70 in this video, where we're not looking at the content quality so much, but you'll see what it is. And we're not actually going to go through and humanize it in this video. We're just looking at the process to get that score of 70 just using a custom GTP. Okay, so now we go back to we go to chatgpt and we use this custom GTP. There'll be a link in the video. It's also in the blog post we created as well. It's a semantic SEO article outline generator. And in here, we're just going to add our particular terms. So things, we'll put in fun things, to do in Adelaide for adults. Pretty well what Ahrefs is giving us. And then we're just going to click our black button and let it run. Okay, so it's gone through its process and it's created an overview using the semantic process within the custom GTP. You can go through this if you want, but you can see it's created a 7-section outline. Then it's said that it can create extra if we need to, but we're just going to use the 7-section outline that it's created for the next step of the process. So now we're going to add a prompt, and this is a prompt I copied from the previous the previous bit of content for fun things to do in Adelaide with kids. Now create content from the 7-section outline and with information on things to do in Adelaide with kids. So now we're going to say things to do in Adelaide for. If you haven't had much experience using GPT, make sure you're very concise and detailed in your prompts. There's a lot more to it, but that's a good start. So fun things to do in Adelaide for adults. Focus on the subject only. Stay on topic. You can use extra subheadings if needed. Also use bullet points and tables if appropriate. The word count should be around 2,300 words. So if we go back to Surfer, we can see it says 2,300. I'm not going to ask it to write 2,300. I'm going to ask it to write about 1,800. Just from experience for this type of content, I think that's a good word count on the type of information we can add into this article. And generally, we can get a pretty good score anyway by going a little bit lower. Now, the last part of this is also include the following NLP keywords. So what we do, we come back to Surfer, click on NLP, scroll down to the bottom, and you've got copy all. And we're simply going to copy all and paste that in. So you can see how simple this is. Some of you out there might be saying, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. Like I said, we're just looking to get our Surfer score, and then we can go through the content and edit after that. So that's in, and then we just click the arrow and let it go through its process. Simple that this outline has done a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So actually, I think I have made a mistake and added it to the wrong GTP, which one I did previously, which I had. So I'll just pause and we'll go back and we'll add that content in the correct one. Okay, so we're now back in the correct one. We're going to add that same prompt in here and let it go through its process. Yeah, so as I was saying, a lot of the heavy lifting has been done by this content outline that's created by the semantic GPT generator. So now it's running through and creating an article, and we'll come back in a second once it's done. Okay, so the GPT is finished. Not even going to worry about reading this. All I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it immediately, raw. Control C, and we're going to paste it directly into Surfer. And we can see the score has gone to 67. So we didn't get our 70, but it's pretty close. Like you could go through and very quickly human edit this and have that actually get that score up to 70. But I'm going to use the new Surfer feature, which is called Auto Optimize. Depending on what plan you have on Surfer, it works very well to improving your score by 5 or 10. So if you're adding in an article and you're only at sort of 50, it's going to be difficult using Auto Optimize. But we'll just click this and we'll see what happens. So it goes through a process. It analyzes it, and it basically uses AI and its own algorithm to go through and optimize as needed to get that score where it needs to be. So we'll see what it does. In my experience, generally we'll go to 70 or over if you're as close as what this article was when it was at 67. Okay, so that process is completed. You can see we now have a surfer score of 75. So that worked pretty well. So that was our goal, to get a surfer score of over 70, just using GPT with our process. Word count is much lower than what Surfer is recommending. Again, I'm not so concerned about that. What we can do, and what I sometimes do, is then we can add a key takeaways section and a FAQ section. So we might go do that now. In the GPT, we're just going to ask it to now provide a key takeaway section for the top of the article and 4 FAQs for the bottom with associated FAQ schema HTML code. So depending on what CMS you're using, you can have it create the FAQ schema code for you. If you're using something like Gutenberg, if you use the FAQ Gutenberg block, it'll do that the schema for you automatically anyway. So, but we'll just ask it to create it, so we've got it if we need it. So we'll let it go through and that process. Okay, it's creating the key takeaways and it's creating FAQs. So while it's doing that, I'm just going to copy the key takeaways. And that prompt again was pretty simple. We didn't really give it any instructions on how to create the key takeaways, but we're just going to add it in. And then we'll also add in our FAQs. You can see it's creating the schema markup now. Okay, that's done. Let's just grab this, paste that into the bottom of Surfer. It's obviously not going to decrease the score. And you can see it didn't increase the score at all, but it did increase the word count a little. So is this piece of content perfect? Absolutely not. So now we go through the process of human editing. We go through the process of publishing images, etc. But we've got our raw piece of content ready to go. And obviously it's extremely cheap to do this, apart from your Surfer subscription. But if you're doing lots of articles, it's going to pay for itself very quickly. All the extra detail is in the blog post here on OptizenApp.com. So again, it might seem very simple, and a lot of times SEO does seem like, especially if you're new, it seems very technical and you need to be really complicated the way you do things. But from experience, over and over again, we tend to go back to basics, especially when things are turned upside down like they have been in the last 6 months in SEO. I mean, AI is obviously very new, and it's certainly changed the game. But the fundamentals of how we're doing things in terms of publishing the content, the way we do our research, the way we do our topic research, making sure we have a thorough topical map, so we're covering all aspects of a certain topic. And that probably, to be honest, that's something we do spend a lot more time on than we did in the past, but we could just base our articles or our sites on keyword research, and now we're looking at more sort of semantic and topic research, so we have a thorough topical map. So certainly go and read this article if you want the full detail, and it gives you basically a step-by-step process. As I mentioned, these examples here, using this exact process on these different types of sites, we've just had increases in clicks, organic clicks, over the last 6 months, and all of these sites have also increased revenue, which is obviously the name of the game. No point increasing traffic if you're not increasing revenue. Obviously, if you've got any questions about this, just reach out. It was basically a very quick overview of how to get, again, to that score of 70 in Surfer. Yeah, reach out if you've got any questions. Thanks. See you in the next video.